morning everyone, I hope everyone is well. So as you can probably see today, there's a little bit of a damp start. I've been through quite some heavy rain since I left Norwich this morning. I've popped into Avenue Angling at Beccles and picked up some fresh lugworm this morning. So I've got a little bit of fresh bait, I've also got some frozen baits, etc. We'll go into that later. So yeah, from Beccles I've carried on down A12 at Blythburgh, and I've just gone a little way up towards Ipswich, and I'm heading down towards Dunwich. This was always the plan today, to come to Dunwich, but what I was going to do when I get there, and again I'll explain a little bit more once we're in the car park, I was going to head left from the car park towards Walberswick. But with the forecast of this strong wind building up later on, I'm probably going to stick to what I normally do, which is head right and go under the cliffs. All will be clear once we're there. So yeah, I'm heading down now towards the beach car parks, just a few minutes away. Once we get there, I'll run through what we've got, the facilities, etc. So once we've left the A12, you can pretty much follow the road signs for Dunwich. You get a couple early on that says Dunwich Heath. Ignore those. Carry on a little bit further along the A12 and you'll see some signs for Dunwich, and one of them even says Dunwich Beach. So then you come down through the heath and keep following the signs. I'll put the postcode in the description and on a little map here. And then you're following it down through the village, and just around this corner up here we go into the actual beach car park. It's pretty easy to find, to be fair. We're probably only talking about less than 10 minutes off of the A12. So there's the village pub here, the Ship, just around this corner. Beach car park. Just be a bit careful here, it's a little bit tight. This time of year it's not going to be too busy. It can get very busy in the summer. So as you can see there, it's actually free parking, but there is an honesty box here and you can put donations in there. There's the honesty box there, just on the right here, and it goes to the local church. So that's what I normally do, put 3 or 4 quid in there, because basically you've got such good facilities here, it's worth actually putting a little bit back into the car park. So I'm just going to park up against the back of here. Not too far to go. I'll get out and show you the rest of the facilities. Okay, so once you're in the car park, and it's a fairly big car park, park down that end if you're going left. You've got a cafe there, you've got a toilet block over there, and as I say, just in front of that toilet block there's the honesty box for the car park. From the car park, straight through onto the beach, through these old fishermen's huts. And let's go and have a look and see what we've got down here. Well, as you can see, conditions are far from ideal this morning. Got a fair old lump on that. And with the wind building up later on this afternoon, possibly only going to get worse. But what I shall do is, as I said, I'll head down this side of the beach to the right, where you've got these cliffs behind you, and I'll go a couple of 300 yards down there, and hopefully that wind will be a bit more sheltered when we get back down there, and we'll assess the situation. Sea's going to be a little bit rough for what I thought it would be this morning. I was going to come here with the intention of catching a ray, but that's going to be probably nigh on impossible looking at that. There is other species to catch, so that's probably what I'll do. I'll go back now to the car, I'll get some waterproof gear on, get sorted out, and we'll head down the beach. Okay, so I've walked a little bit further down than what I thought. I've walked about 500 or 600 yards down. And I think we mark it out normally by these rockfall signs on the cliffs over there. And I think this is number 4, and I've been here before. The reason we do that is it's a lot less snaggy here. Now if you go straight through the back of the car parks up there where the boats are, it can be extremely snaggy, and that's probably just because more people turn up there and fish directly behind the car park, so more tackle's lost, so it becomes more snaggy. If you walk left of the car park about the same distance, 500 or 600 yards, you're probably in cleaner ground as well. You're always going to get the odd snag down here. So as you can see, the sea's a little bit more lively than I expected this morning, and the original target would have been, I would have put 1 rod out scratching and 1 for rays this morning, but I think that plan's going to be scuppered. I did on the way manage to go and pick up some fresh lugworm today, so as you can see there I've got fresh lug, some squid, and I brought the blueies specifically for the rays. I might experiment later on with 1 or 2 small bluey baits just to see. I think it's going to be a little bit too rough personally, but you never know. So at the moment I've set up my usual, I've run 1 rod, Tournament Pro Mark II, and I've put on there a 5-ounce sinker. Put it out for a test cast. Obviously with that wind it's coming in at almost 45 degrees from my right, so it's not where they said it was going to be. I expected it to be a bit southwesterly. It's more almost directly south. So yeah, what I've done, test cast out there at the moment just to see if there's any weed about. Keep that 5 minutes like that while I get my rigs and that sorted out. Talking of rigs, today it's going to probably be a pulley panel to start with, and I'll probably load that up with lug, chuck it out. You never know, conditions like that, there's always a chance of a little coddling, so that's probably what I'll fish for the first hour. It's now just on the ebb, so we've just been over high tide, we're on the ebb. It's going to run down all the way now till about 3 o'clock this afternoon, so it may flatten out once that drops a bit. It doesn't look like it personally. There's a lot of power in that sea, and that might take a day or 2 before that drops out. But that's the plan today. It'll be lugworm baits, looking for possibly a codling, and who knows what else. Well, the test casts come back pretty good, no weed, just a tiny little blob on the leader knot, which is quite manageable, and I only used the 5-ounce lead, so I'm going to go out with that 5-ounce lead, pulley pennel, 3/0 on the bottom, 2/0 on the top, and we're going to give that a try first up and assess the situation from there. Right, that's the first cast out. That went out quite well considering. Got this nasty sort of crosswind at the moment. I'm hoping with that forecast later on, when it picks up, it's going to swing round further behind me, and these cliffs will then give me a bit of shelter. But saying that, that's gone out. Fair old distance. Bunch of fresh lug. We'll give it 15-20 minutes maybe, and see what happens. In the meantime, I might prepare maybe a whole squid bait, and then maybe even set up another rod later on, depending on the weed, etc. I'm going to stay with 1 rod at the moment just to see what the conditions are like. It's about the first week in April now, and we're what's called like the changeover time. So basically all the winter species are starting to dwindle out, and the summer species are starting to move in. So today, what am I expecting? Well, you're always going to get the odd whiting hanging around. This can be a very good beach for fishing for dabs and sole, but I don't expect none of them today in these conditions. Again, as I said earlier, I would have liked to have targeted a ray today because they come off here quite regular, one or two been coming off already this spring. Today I think it's just going to be a scratch and catch whatever you can, to be quite honest with you. But your dogfish, bass, they'll all turn up here in the next couple of months. Yeah, we've got a fairly steep sand and shingle beach, so you're going into fairly deepish water. Going back to when I arrived, the cafeteria there, they serve some really nice food in there. I'm not going to say it's the cheapest food going, but it is very nice. You can get all sorts of proper cooked meals in there. I think they do snacks and stuff as well. I've not actually been in there for probably a couple of years now, but if you are, say, bringing the family down, it's ideal if you want to have something to eat, then come do a bit of fishing, or the other way round, do a bit of fishing, then have something to eat before you go home. I would check the opening times for out of season. So we're in April, so we're just still a little bit out of season at the moment. I did notice and smell actually this morning that there was some cooking going on in there, so it's definitely open today. So I think they were probably knocking up a few full English breakfasts, which would have been nice, but I wanted to get down there and get on with this. I think I've already got a rattle on that rod, and it's been out less than 5 minutes. I will let that develop a bit, just in case. Right, definitely looks like a bit of activity on that rod. So I've now got the next bait. I've got a whole mini squid baited up, and there's absolutely tons of black juice pouring out of that. So that's ready to go on. So as soon as that comes out, the next bait can go on. I'll get that done now. No, nothing there. The worms look like they've been attacked by something. Could be crabs, but I'll get that rebaited, ready to go out again. A lot of people have asked what method I use to connect my snoods to my rigs, and this is something I've always done really from a very long while ago. It's just a lot quicker unless you're actually using two separate rigs. My hook snoods, and I've got them in different lengths, so I've got a 3-foot pulley on there, but I've got hook snoods from 1 foot to 3 foot, and I literally put them onto the swivel using one of those Gemini clips, so I can have the next trace baited up ready on the stand, bring the rig in, unclip the old bait, clip on the new bait and go out all within seconds. Don't have to do anything to change the rig itself. Just find that a lot easier. Also, if you get, say in the summer when you're targeting smooth hounds or even rays, once you've got your fish on the beach, it's much easier to quickly unclip the trace and get the fish out of the way, get it in some water, and then you can clip your next trace on, which is hanging on your rod rest, get that straight back out in the water so you're fishing straight away. You can then deal with the fish you've got on the beach while your rig is fishing. As I say, the other advantage is if you tie a pulley to the swivel, you've got to cut that off and re-tie a new hook link onto that swivel. With this way, you can have everything prepared in advance, all different lengths, all different hooking arrangements. So sometimes I prefer a single hook when I'm ray fishing. I can change over almost instantly without having to cut the rig in any way. The sun's even made an appearance now. The dark clouds are gone and the rain, and the wind seems to have dropped. But then again, I am standing behind this shelter. So yeah, if you carry on from where I walked up to, 500 or 600 metres, you can see in the distance there, that's the top of Sizewell nuclear power station. That's Ferrell Walk up there, but I think the further up there you walk, probably the better the fishing will be, because less people will actually go up there. But lovely beach, plenty of room. I don't think you ever get a massive great tide here. You can see the tide line quite clearly there today. Still got plenty of room behind it and a flat ledge on the top there. So similarly the other way, from the car park there where the boats are, you turn the other way, you're heading towards Walberswick, which is, I believe, about 2.5–3 kilometres from the car park there. And then once you're at Walberswick, obviously, in the distance there you can see Southwold Lighthouse. That gives you a scale of where we are today. So there, the second cast is out with a whole squid, and we'll give that 15 minutes, 20 minutes and see what happens. Okay, that's been out about 15 minutes. Time to get in and have another check. This time I've just changed that rig over completely. I put a two-hook loop rig on with slightly smaller hooks. I've got one hose on there, and I've baited one with a couple of lugworm and the other one with a little sliver of squid. Let's just see if I can scratch something out and see if there's anything there at all. This bait, again, this was like 3 lugworm on a 3.0. It's just come back absolutely butchered, so I would have thought it's crab activity out there, definitely. But let's just see if those little smaller baits on the smaller hooks make any difference at all. So just to give you some idea of what I said earlier on, as that tide's falling off, you notice how much calmer the sea's got. Waves have got a lot less. It's flattened out quite a bit, to be fair. So that carries on like that. Maybe at some stage I will be able to put the ray rod out with a bit of bluey on and see if we can snare one. It's definitely looking a lot more of a prospect now than it did half an hour ago. So I've been fishing about 40 minutes now, still haven't had a proper bite. I've had plenty of, the baits have been destroyed, which I assume are crabs at the moment, but I haven't actually had a fish. So got the little scratching rig on now, see if I can get something out on that, and then if that don't work, yeah, maybe it will be have a go for a ray. I forgot the kids are still on holiday. Still, just showed two youngsters some live fish out the sea. They've never seen them before. Yeah, so that just goes to show sometimes, just that change of that hook size and a smaller bait, straight away had 2 fish, two whiting. One of them was in size, the other one wasn't, but at least it's a start. So I've gone back to the original plan now, and there's a whole mini squid on there on the pennel rig. That's been whacked as far as I can, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to prepare the other bait. I'm going to prepare a bluey and maybe put a bait out. If I don't get a ray, there is also a chance of a dogfish, and again, you know, it's not everyone's cup of tea sometimes, but I like the dogfish. They give you a good bit of sport when there's nothing else about. Another greedy whiting. This time he took the pennel rig and he's been hooked on the top hook. Yeah, and what I'll do now is when I take him back, I'll go and get my bucket of water so I've got somewhere to put him in between. But yeah, cracking whiting, that one. I wasn't anticipating catching loads of whiting today, but now I've had 2 or 3. I've now got my bucket, so when I get them back in, I can drop them in the bucket. Looks after them a little bit better, because I aim to put them all back unless they're severely deeply hooked. You don't really have much choice then, but yeah, 3 or 4 I've had now, but that one just took a whole mini squid. So I'll put the little rig out again now with the 2 smaller hooks on, one with worm and one with squid. I'll give that another try while I'm getting this next bait ready, and I'm going to put a fish bait on the next one. A little bit of bluey, maybe wrapped with a little bit of squid. See if we can tempt something a little bit bigger. Looks suspiciously like another whiting rattle there on that rod. Fish bait now. So a little bit of bluey, wrapped with a little bit of squid on the long pennel. Straight in the bucket. Okay, yes. Another 2. Both of these are undersized. And they're both neatly lip hooked, so they're not going to take much to get back. And yeah, with the fish bait, bluey on the pennel, I've just whacked that, and that's gone as far as it's gone all day. So right, both of them are off. Fairly easy. I did spot the bite. It's funny, you don't actually realise how strong that wind still is until I go out with the rod to reel in or cast out. It actually doesn't. We're sitting under the shelter here. It seems like you're on a completely different beach. And the sea has definitely calmed. You can see that. You just get the odd wave. But those big sets that were rolling in first thing have gone. Yeah, but as soon as you step out there, get the full force of that wind coming along the beach. It's quite brisk, shall we say. I'm contemplating now whether to put the second rod out and put the scratching rig on that and just concentrate then big baits on the other rod all morning or all afternoon. See if I can't get a ray, and then fiddle around with bits and pieces and try out different things on the small rod. Touch wood, I'm not having no problem with weed. Tide pool's not that brilliant, so it's not going to drag me right across. So I think that's the next step. I think set up the other rod. I can clip the little loop rig on there and use up the bait. Saying that, just had a bite on that rod. Well, that little flapper rig on the left hand rod there has been going crazy almost since I put it out, so I'm going to get that in. Pretty sure there'll be something hanging on the end of that. Double shot of whiting. One good one and one not so good. Both going in the water. So I'll take them off that rig. I haven't got a double rig set up for that, so I'll literally unhook them. Both of them are hooked neatly in the bottom lip, centre of the bottom lip, which makes a change because I think they've been on there for quite a while. A couple of the usual candidates for this time of the year, but I'll get them back. The little rod's rattling already, and the big rod's been the odd tap on it ever since it went out, so I'm going to get that in there. A dogfish, well, but smallest dogfish ever, but a dogfish. Let's quickly get him unhooked, get the other tray straight back on, and we get that back out. There you go, no coincidence really, dogfish. First time I put a bit of fish bait on. He's only tiny, he's probably not even 30 centimetres. I need one 3 times as big as that to make it worth my while. Perfect little miniature. I think I'm going to get that scratching rod in now. That's proved a point, proves what's out there. I've got to go longer and further with those fish baits to try and get a ray or even some bigger dogfish. I wouldn't mind. Those little worm baits are just attracting tiny little whiting, so I'm going to shelve that idea. I'm probably going to drop back to one rod, concentrate more on that. Okay, so I've just had a little 5-minute break to have something to eat and drink. It's something I always seem to forget to do when I'm fishing. One more cast, one next cast, and before you know it, it's 2 o'clock. It's not quite that bad today, it's just gone 1 o'clock. Still getting a few smallish whiting, so I'll put one rod away. I'm going back to one rod and I'm going to experiment with 2 rigs just to see which gives the best bite indication. So the one out there at the moment is an up and over rig. And I've got the original pulley pennel that I was using earlier ready to go out, so I'll just keep switching these 2 over now. I think there's something rattling around on there. It's definitely not as good as bite indication, but let's have a look. whiting. The sea's full of them today. That wind is now starting to pick up as well. So you can clearly see what a difference a few hours makes, how choppy that sea was when I got here. Now don't get me wrong, there's still a bit of a chop on it, but nothing like there was. It was 1.5 to 2 metre waves when I got here. I think there's only been one other angler since I've been here, and he was up on the beach right in front of the boat, and he wasn't there very long. So I guess he might have met a few snags and decided to leave. There you go. If you don't know, you don't know. So even the whiting have quietened down a little bit at the moment. So yeah, I've just had a very interesting chat with a guy come along the beach. I thought it was just out for a walk, and sort of come up and said, "How you getting on?" Blah blah blah. And then he introduced himself, and he's a member of a project called Catchwise. And he explained to me exactly what it is. It's basically they're doing a survey, and they're going to collect all data from shore anglers, boat anglers, charter boats, not commercial, and they want to try and collect this information over a 12-month period, so they can understand who takes part in fishing, how often do they go, what sort of fishing do they do, all sorts of stuff like that. And then all this data, once they've collected it, will be put together, and they'll be able to build a picture of, you know, where we're going fishing, how many fish do we take, you know. I sort of said to him, when he asked me how many fish do I take home, I sort of said, virtually none. I do it as a recreational sport. And he said, you know, that'll give them an idea of exactly like people like me. Not everyone takes fish from the sea. And it'll also show the impact it has on local communities, like the money it will bring into a certain area. If I give an example, you've got somewhere like, not in this area, but Cheshire Beach, the amount of money that generates through anglers travelling there, staying in local accommodations, pubs, bed and breakfasts and stuff, the tackle shops and everything. They all rake in money through anglers. So yeah, very interesting. I'm going to have a look into it. He sort of took my email address and basically registered me onto the system, and I'll have a look when I get home properly on the computer and see what it's all about. It doesn't actually cost nothing, and I'm sitting here fishing anyway. Answered a few little simple questions, and basically he was on his way, but we shall see. I'll put the link up there for anyone who's interested in having a look at it and a read about it. You never know, it might be of interest to someone. Alright, let's get that in. I've got another simple little shorter pulley to go out, and I'll bait that with just a little bit of squid. See if I can get a dogfish. Definitely something tapping on there. I'll say nothing on the subject. I'm on to dry line on the reel. So that's gone. So this was the little 2-hook loop rig, top hook, sorry, baited with worm, and that's the one that little whiting's taken. Perfectly lip hooked, so that's come straight off. I shall probably rebait this one more time, and then I'll think about making tracks for home. Okay, so the time's just pushing past 2:30. Probably going to fish for another 15-20 minutes and have a pack down. Sea's almost at the bottom, probably got 45 minutes to go. And you can see again now it's starting to lift again after it went almost flat in the middle of the ebb. Waves are starting to build again, it's starting to get rougher, and that wind is definitely building. If I look up behind the shelter as well now, I can see sort of quite some big dark clouds coming over, so I think that weather's going to change in the next hour or two. So bit of a whiting fest today, but hey, they're better than nothing, and it's been a quite pleasant morning on the beach, to be fair. A quick recap then where we are today. So I chose to fish Dunwich, which is located 18 miles south of Lowestoft and 8 or 9 miles south of Southwold. Facilities, you've got a nice big beach car park which is free, although they do take voluntary donations into a couple of coin boxes. I think there is an app thing there as well where you can pay by phone, but you know, just a couple of quid in the coin box goes towards the local church. The tea rooms, so they were getting fired up when I got here sort of 9:30 this morning, so I believe, looking at the website, 10 AM to 2:30 daily. I think it might be slightly later opening times at weekends, and that may also change as you go into the summer as well. So the links for the tea rooms will be in the description as well. They do all sorts of meals in there. The main meals are fish and chips, burger meals. They do full breakfasts, and they do children's meals. I should imagine also they do things like drinks and cakes and stuff like that, and snacks. So, but worth checking out on the website before you come. There probably already is a phone number for it as well. That'll be on the website link. You've got your public toilets there, spotlessly clean when I went in this morning. And that's always nice to know that there is a nice set of toilets where you can go should you need to. Yeah, would have expected to catch a little bit more than whiting today. I would have thought maybe dabs and maybe a few more dogfish if nothing else is feeding, but hey, that's the way it goes. Come down here another day, you could bag yourself half a dozen rays. As we move into the summer, the fishing will start to pick up a little bit here. And as I say, you can expect things like bass, soles and the rays. Yeah, so if you do come down to this mark, it's always worth bearing in mind, directly in front of any car park accesses to all these places, 9 times out of 10 they're going to be the snaggiest places around. That's just literally because more people fish there. So more gear gets lost there for one reason or another, whether it's snags, whether it's crack-offs. The snag then gradually builds, gets bigger and bigger, and away you go. So it's always worth walking 300 metres. It takes less than 10 minutes to walk up here, or the other way. I would have gone the other way this morning if it had been calmer. So on all these venues it is worth just walking a little bit further away from the public access point, and you might find some slightly cleaner ground. So yeah, that'll be about it now. I think I'm going to take a couple of layers off, have a pack down, and then head off back home. Yes, so I'm going to get this rod in today and call it quits. I've had about 12 or 15 smallish whiting today, a couple of slightly better ones, and one small dogfish, which is quite a surprise. I thought there'd be more of them today, but there you go. So I'd just like to say thank you very much for everyone who's watching. Hope you enjoy these guides. I shall be back again next week, somewhere else further along the coast. One thing I did notice, that out of the people who do watch these videos, only a small percentage of you are actually subscribed. So on average these videos get 2,500 to 3,000 views, and out of that probably only 400 of those viewers are subscribers. So if you could spare your time to just click the subscribe button. I won't pest you with notifications if you don't want them. That way when I do put new videos up, you'll be able to see them, they'll come into view. That'll help the channel grow. So thank you very much again, and I'll catch you on the next one.